At supper with her pals, she boasted while glancing at me, "My devotion comes with a cost, and he wouldn't manage to pay it no matter what." They all chuckled, I merely grinned, but months afterward, when she appeared pleading for assistance, she stiffened at the entrance since another person was already positioned next to me. The instant the phrase escaped her lips, all noise faded in my thoughts. Not the uncomfortable quiet that occupies a space, but the soft buzz of a device that has recently been activated. We were at one of those absurdly expensive eateries, the type with sampling courses and alcohol matches that exceed the value of my initial vehicle. It was my partner Jessica's birthday meal, her and her trio of closest companions. I was simply the fellow covering the tab. Jessica was commanding attention as always, a flute of bubbly in one palm, waving emphatically with the other. Her buddies, who were essentially duplicates of her, were captivated by her every statement. I was midway through a portion of seafood that had no flavor yet demanded a hefty sum when I caught her utter it. She wasn't attempting to be discreet. She intended for me to overhear. She stared directly at me, a grin teasing her mouth, and told her companion, "My devotion comes with a cost, and he wouldn't manage to pay it no matter what." Her companions burst into giggles, that shrill artificial titter that indicates they're part of the gag. And the gag I grasped in that moment was myself. For the previous 12 months, I had been financing this way of living, the urban apartment, the rented high-end automobile, the branded outfits, the constant morning meals. I operate my own programming firm. I succeed, but I'm not foolish with my finances. I'm reserved about my achievements. I believed I was committing to a partnership, to a tomorrow with somebody I valued. She viewed me as a mobile cash machine with inadequate resources. I didn't respond. I didn't become furious. I didn't create a fuss. That's what she desired. She desired me to become protective, to debate, to demonstrate her error. She desired excitement to boost her feeling of significance. Instead, I just grinned. A serene, relaxed grin. I lifted my goblet, elevated it a bit toward her as if saluting her witty comment, and drank a bit. Her grin wavered for a brief moment. My absence of response puzzled her. It was a step she hadn't anticipated. The remainder of the meal was hazy. I was there in body, but my thoughts were distant, performing computations, devising a strategy. I was a coder. I construct frameworks, I detect flaws, and I eradicate them. My partnership, I understood, was a framework with a vital, fatal flaw. It was time to retire it. When the invoice arrived, I settled it without comment. More than $1,000 for a feast where I was the primary dish. On the drive back, she was energized, elevated by the spotlight and the bubbly. She attempted to initiate a chat about a journey to Monaco she wished to embark on. I just agreed vaguely, emitting neutral noises. She didn't observe. She was too engrossed in her personal realm. When we returned to the apartment, my apartment, she proceeded to prepare for sleep. I entered my study at home and shut the entrance. I didn't rest that evening. I activated my computer and started systematically disentangling my existence from hers. It was like revising a disorganized segment of programming. You must be exact, cautious, and eliminate every connection until the faulty code is fully separated and can be erased without disrupting the entire setup. She believed my devotion was something to purchase. She was on the verge of discovering that my betrayal was something she couldn't handle in her most extravagant fantasies. She retired assuming she held all the authority. She was about to learn what occurs when a reserved guy chooses to become assertive, not with his words, but with his deeds. The contest wasn't about matching her cost anymore. It was about revealing to her the real expense of her disloyalty. Update 1. It's been 14 days since the supper gathering, where my former partner Jessica declared to everyone that I was a budget she couldn't handle. For those 14 days, she's been existing in a condition of happy unawareness, and I've been the most occupied I've ever been. Thanks for the encouragement on my initial entry. Many of you foresaw what was approaching, and you were correct. This isn't about feelings, this is about arrangements. The following day after that supper, I began placing calls. My initial one was to my attorney. I described the circumstances. Jessica was residing in my apartment, which I possess completely. She was not on the rental agreement or the title. She was operating a vehicle rented under my identity. I was covering the charges on a high-credit limit card she treated as her private spending account. My attorney, a straightforward fellow named Ben, outlined the procedure plainly. We prepared an official removal notice granting her 30 days to leave the property, as mandated by regulations. It was dispatched through a delivery agent to the apartment the very next day. Jessica was present when it arrived. She phoned me chuckling. "Did you really have somebody deliver me a document? Are you attempting to be theatrical?" "This is amusing. It's not a prank, Jessica," I stated composedly. "You have 30 days to locate a new residence." "You're pretending," she responded. The chuckling vanished from her tone. "You'd be adrift without me." "That's a chance I'm prepared to accept," I answered. And then I ended the call. Next, I contacted the rental firm for her vehicle. I notified them that I would cease payments on the car and that they should organize to retrieve it from the listed location. They were remarkably prompt. They informed me that once a payment is skipped, the retrieval begins within days. Then I reached out to the credit card provider. I declared the card she utilized as misplaced and had it terminated right away. I had a fresh one with a new number dispatched to my workplace. The account was under my name, so it was an uncomplicated step. The flow of complimentary funds had just evaporated. For the initial 7 days, she didn't appear to detect. She assumed I was merely having a fit. She was still venturing out, sharing on online platforms about her wonderful existence, likely using the remaining money she possessed. The initial indication of difficulty for her arrived 5 days later. I received a series of furious messages. Her card had been rejected at some shop while she was purchasing with her companions. The open embarrassment was the harshest aspect for her. She insisted I contact the bank and resolve it. I didn't respond. 2 days following that, the towing vehicle appeared for the automobile. I was at the office, but my structure's surveillance recorded the entire event. She rushed out of the structure, yelling at the operator, who serenely displayed her the documents and hoisted her cherished open-top car onto the platform. The messages that ensued were panicked. She was warning to take legal action against me, to destroy me, to inform everybody. Well, I'm uncertain what she planned to inform them. That I had halted funding her opulent existence. This is where my strategy advanced to the subsequent stage. Jessica's whole profession, her whole persona, was constructed on being an online personality in the upscale way of life arena. And persona I had been financing. Her primary competitor was another personality named Madison. Madison had superior material and a more genuine audience, but she lacked the funds for the sort of premium journeys and purchases that Jessica displayed. I conducted my investigation. I discovered who Madison's representative was. I contacted, not as a rejected former lover, but as the proprietor of a thriving, expanding technology firm seeking a fresh promotional approach. I suggested a collaboration. My firm would supply a significant promotional allocation for a half-year initiative. This allocation would be applied for funded trips, premium item features, and top-quality production material. The allocation I suggested was, to the cent, the precise sum I had been expending on Jessica's complete way of life for the prior year. Madison's representative was, to express it gently, thrilled. They prepared an agreement within 2 days. I had merely one stipulation. The initiative had to commence right away, and it had to be grand. While Jessica was confined at the apartment, her vehicle removed, her funds halted, Madison's online presence surged. An unexpected top-tier flight to Paris. A collaboration with a prominent fashion label that had formerly collaborated with Jessica. A residence in a luxury hotel accommodation. Every share was a blow, displaying the precise existence Jessica had recently forfeited. And every share was labeled with my firm's title, #funded by my firm. The finest aspect. This wasn't merely retaliation. It was a clever commercial decision. My firm creates premium management programs for artistic experts. Madison's group of ambitious business owners and style-aware supporters was my precise intended audience. Our site visits increased threefold in the initial week. We obtained more suitable prospects in a couple of days than we had in the preceding half-year. I had converted my individual burden into a beneficial resource. Meanwhile, Jessica was ensnared. Her companions, the ones who had chuckled at me, were abruptly aloof. They were opportunists. Now that Jessica was declining, they didn't wish to be pulled along. Her online presence became silent. No fresh shares, no updates. Her audience began posing inquiries. Then they began observing Madison's fresh initiative, funded by the firm owned by Jessica's partner. The story started to form itself in the feedback areas. Her 30-day warning expires next week. She's been dispatching me urgent messages now, packed with regrets and vows to improve. She claims she adores me, that she committed a horrible error. But she's not remorseful for what she did. She's remorseful for what she forfeited. She perceived our partnership as an exchange, and she's just now comprehending she was on the disadvantaged side of the agreement. She has no clue that the somebody else who received her allocation isn't a fresh partner. It's her immediate rival. The concluding stage of my strategy is about to proceed. She believes she can still rescue this. She believes she can appeal to my feelings. She's about to discover that I don't possess any remaining, at least not for her. Final update. It's finished. The 30-day removal timeframe concluded yesterday. For the final week of it, Jessica was a specter in the apartment. I had been residing at a lodge to evade her, but I knew she was there, simmering in the quiet. The panicked messages and communications had diminished to a drip, then ceased entirely. It was the quiet prior to the ultimate, frantic action. It arrived last evening. I was at the apartment, supervising a sanitation team I'd employed to cleanse the location of the past year. I was in my study at home when the intercom sounded. I knew it was her. I permitted her to ascend. I desired to witness this to the conclusion. When I unlocked the entrance, she appeared like an unfamiliar person. The elegant personality was absent. She was clad in denim and a plain top, her locks tied back, and her complexion was ashen and marked by tears. She wasn't carrying a branded purse. She was carrying a paper container with some of her leftover items. The grin was absent. In its stead was an expression of absolute, genuine despair. "Can I just speak to you for a moment?" she inquired, her tone breaking. I didn't welcome her inside. I just rested against the door jamb. "You have one moment." She began with the regrets. She was remorseful. She was foolish. She was uncertain. She uttered the things individuals utter when they've exhausted alternatives. She informed me she adored me, that the prior year was the finest of her existence, and she discarded it all because she was heeding the incorrect individuals. "I'll do whatever to correct it," she begged. "I'll obtain employment. I'll reimburse you. I don't concern myself with the funds or the excursions. I just want you returned," I heard without disrupting. When she was done, the quiet extended. "Are you finished?" I inquired. She agreed, appearing optimistic. "You're correct about one aspect," I stated. "You don't concern yourself with me. You concern yourself with what I supplied. You had a fine arrangement and you attached a cost to it. You assumed you could upgrade. That's not an error. That's a commercial choice. And it was a poor one." Tears began flowing down her cheeks. "But I have no place to go. My companions won't even respond to my calls. My family, they don't have space for me. I'm penniless." "That sounds like an issue," I stated, my tone even. "But it's not my issue. Not any longer." I began to shut the entrance, but she extended her hand to halt me. "Please," she murmured. "Isn't there anybody who can assist me? Anybody you could contact?" And that's when the last element aligned. From behind me, a voice inquired, "Is everything all right, Mark?" Jessica stiffened. Her eyes expanded as she gazed beyond me into the sitting area. Seated on my sofa, a computer active, was a lady she identified immediately. It was Madison, her competitor. Madison wasn't there as a companion. She was there for a professional session. We were reviewing the data from the initial month of our promotional initiative, which were, incidentally, outstanding. She was attired in a crisp, professional, relaxed attire, appearing assured and accomplished. She was all that Jessica had attempted to become. But she had achieved it with skill and diligence, not by being a leech. The expression on Jessica's face was something I will always remember. It was a terrifying mixture of astonishment, shame, and ultimately, comprehension. She wasn't just viewing her successor. She was viewing the living representation of her defeat. She saw the lady who was now experiencing the existence she'd discarded, supported by the funds she believed were hers, and executing it superior and more gainfully than she ever could. She saw that I hadn't substituted her with another partner. I had substituted her with a worthwhile commercial resource. I had truly advanced. She didn't utter another phrase. She just gazed at Madison, then back at me. The optimism in her eyes faded, substituted by a chilly, stark void. She ultimately comprehended. This was never about affection or envy. It was an exchange. She had established the conditions with her cost comment, and I had merely finalized the agreement on my own conditions. She gradually retreated from the entrance, turned and proceeded down the corridor without glancing back. I shut the entrance and secured it. I returned to the sitting area. Madison gazed at me, an inquiry in her eyes. "Former partner," I stated. She just agreed, a slight expert grin on her face. "Well, the fresh interaction figures on the Paris initiative are available. I think you're going to be very pleased," and she was correct. I was. My enterprise was prospering. My existence was mine once more. The flaw had been eliminated from the setup. I don't know where Jessica proceeded, and I don't care to discover. She desired an existence she could manage. Now she has one.